Hey YouTube, I'm Steven, and guess what? Now, as most of you probably already know, the Euro Cup has started, and since I didn't have any work this week, my buddies at worldjerseys.ca sent me on some deliveries, and they hooked me up with this too. They've got jerseys for every sport, and if you're in the GTA and decide to buy one, I just might be your delivery guy. But of course, that's not what we're going to be talking about today. Once again, it is story time with Steven, so get comfortable, get rid of those pants, put on your 3D glasses, and enjoy the video. This story takes place in 2010, right after I graduated high school. Now, I went back for a semester so I could do a co-op at a recording studio, but mostly it was just to stall and figure out what I wanted to do in college. Now, my co-op placement was a 2.5-hour commute away by bus, and I had to be there for 8 hours a day. Now, thankfully, the guy that I was learning under, Mike, he knew about my brutal commute and only made me stay there for 4 to 6 hours a day usually. I went there every day for about 2 months until I got completely fed up. Now, I really liked the studio and the guys that worked there, but I had no more money for bus passes, and my school was supposed to be helping me out with that, but they weren't doing anything. We were also given these ridiculous assignments we had to complete on top of going to our co-op placement 8 hours a day, and we had to do these daily logs writing about what we learned and what we did. That doesn't sound like a big deal, but it gets really frustrating when all you're doing is cleaning and organizing and making everything look pretty, and you have to write that every single day and bullshit about what you learned. I really needed to find a way out of this. In addition to the stress from my co-op, I was getting into a lot of fights with my parents at home, and things were really starting to take a toll on me. And then one day, my little adorable nephew was playing in my room, touching my things, unsupervised and whatnot, and my brother-in-law walked in and saw him holding a little baggie filled with white rocks and powder. Now, for some reason, my family had this impression that I was a no-good hoodlum who just did drugs all the time. So when my brother-in-law found this, he called my sister and they freaked out and instantly called the police. So I got home from co-op and then the police showed up like 5 minutes after because they think they're slick like that. And I let them in because I was worried that maybe, something happened to someone in my family or something. So, I just let them in, and soon after that I realized why they were there, because they started marching upstairs. So I said, if you're here about weed, to be honest, I smoked it all yesterday. And then they went into my room, and I was dumb and naive, and I didn't know my rights at the time, so they just started, looting all my bongs and pipes and papers and stuff like that, and putting them into a bag to confiscate them. Obviously, they didn't find any dank because I was telling the truth, but as soon as they found the little white baggie, I actually realized what this was all about, and I snapped. What everyone thought was crack or cocaine or something like that was actually sea salt used for cleaning piercings. Let's just say after that, things weren't the same at my house. When my parents found out that the cops had been at our house with regards to me and drugs, they snapped, but they kind of disregarded the whole fact that they showed up to confiscate my cocaine and ended up leaving with my personal hygiene product, so I don't get it. For the next few weeks after that, my parents started treating me even more like a no-good hoodlum, and then my mom said something to me that eventually pushed me over the edge, and I said something really mean, and then left the house without any intention of coming back except to get my clothes and my money, and that's it. This actually gave me reason enough to drop out of my co-op, so I explained to my guidance counselors the whole home situation and what happened, and then they wiped co-op from my record and withdrew me from the program, and everything was okay. I slept at a different friend's house like every night of the week until my friend's dad insisted that I stay with them until I find a place of my own. They really treated me like I was part of their family, and they let me stay there for close to 2 weeks, but then one of my coworkers said that his buddy had a 3-bedroom townhouse, and it was just a lot of wasted space, so eventually he hooked me up with him, and I was paying rent to stay there, and we just pretty much shared the entire house. It was pretty cool. I lived there for the next 5 months, but the sad part is I rarely had a visitor. Now, my girlfriend at the time was over all the time, but none of my buddies from high school wanted to fork out the $3 and mission downtown to come see me. I've been back at my parents' house for a year now, and it's kinda like I never left, but I really did learn a lot in those 5 months. I got a taste of what it's like to live on my own and make just enough money to cover the necessities, as well as learn the harsh reality that if I don't feel like going to work, I'm not gonna get paid, I could lose my job, and then I'm completely screwed. The most important thing I learned, though, is that eventually everybody has to take care of themselves. Friends are great to have, but in the end, they're not gonna work your job or get your diploma or pay your rent. Your friends are there so you can have someone to unwind with after a busy day or week, but they're not going to take care of you. And eventually, if they have any backbone, your family won't either. This is your life and you have to take control of it. Your friends and family are there to support you if you slip and fall, but not to carry you. So, what am I trying to say? Life is a bitch, and eventually one day it's going to bitch slap you right in the face. And are you prepared for that? If you have responsibilities and know the value of money, then you're probably good. But if you're a waste ute hoodlum like my parents thought I was, then you probably need to shape up soon before you find yourself living on welfare in a dirty basement. Oh yeah, and I made peace with my parents and forgave my sister and brother-in-law for the whole sea salt incident, and everyone lived happily ever after. The end. That's it for this week. Here are some old school videos for you new subscribers to enjoy, and I'll catch you guys next Monday. I'm Steven. Thanks for listening to the Shit I Have to Say. Bye!